What's going on, Island Hoppers? Today we're doing a things to know about Chicago, Illinois. Let's start. In this Chicago travel guide, we're going to show you all around Chicago the best things you can possibly do. There will be timestamps below so you can bounce around from destination to destination. First up, let's take a look at the Art Institute of Chicago, one of the best museums for art in the country. The collection actually spans over 5,000 years of artistic creation. The museum is home to a wide variety of works including sculptures, prints, drawings, decorative arts, and photographs. Some include the American Gothic by Grant Wood, Vincent van Gogh's Bedroom. This museum is centrally located, so it's very easy to get here. In the morning is the best time to go. Next up, we're going to check out the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower. This was once the tallest building in the United States. It still ranks as one of the tallest buildings, but nowadays, you go up to the top, you get great 360-degree views. There are several towers in Chicago. This is one of them, and it is a classic American landmark. The skyscraper is 110 stories. It was originally built in 1973, standing at 1,450 feet tall. Next up, here we are at Millenium Park. This is 24.5 acres right in the heart of downtown Chicago along the lakefront and the Loop. It is a popular tourist destination as well as popular with the locals. While here, check out the Cloud Gate sculpture, the Bean, which is a 110-ton stainless steel structure that was created to reflect the city's skyline. They also have the J. Pritzker Pavilion, an outdoor concert venue right here. So really a popular place to hang out, check out jazz festivals when they're in town. While in Chicago, you can go out onto Lake Michigan, either by a regular boat tour, sailing charter, a kayak. You can also rent a jet ski or just do a Chicago water taxi. But getting out there on the water out here in Lake Michigan, probably something you should consider doing, especially if you have 3 or 4 days here. You can catch a water taxi along the riverfront or just go down here to Navy Pier and you'll get a boat. Now we're going to go to the top of Chicago 360 observation. This is the old John Hancock Tower. This is actually my favorite observation deck tower in Chicago to get the views. You can see here by the tilt attraction, that glass just goes right over the road. We're all the way up here at the 94th floor. You can purchase tickets online or in the lobby, but I do recommend checking out the Chicago City Pass. We'll talk about that a little later. Now we're on to the Museum of Science and Industry. This is one of my favorite museums in the country. It's one of the largest science museums in the world with 400,000 square feet of exhibition space. Here you will see an awesome toy train track. They also have an indoor tornado that you guys can experience, as well as the old Apollo rocket shuttle capsules. Chicago is known as one of the best places to visit museums. That's why you'll see so many museums on this list. This one's not actually part of the Chicago City Pass, but it is worth the admission of $21.95 per adult to get in here. Kids under 12 are actually $12.95, and there is a student discount if you bring your ID. If you love anthropology, archaeology, and the study of planet Earth and the history of this big blue marble, then you will definitely want to come over here to the Field Museum, where they have dinosaur bones, skeletons that have been put together. Here we are at the Field Museum. This is Natural History Museum located right here in Chicago. They have over 40 million specimens and artifacts. Here they have dinosaur skeletons, other mammals and birds and insects. This is a part of the Chicago City Pass that I was telling you guys about. But if you didn't want to pay for the City Pass, you can do $29 for adults and $20 for kids. At the end of the video, I'll talk more about the City Pass, but here we are at Navy Pier. This is a popular area for hanging out right here on Lake Michigan's lakefront area. Down here on the pier, you'll find the IMAX Theater. You'll also see the Chicago Funhouse Maze, Crystal Gardens, Chicago Shakespeare Theater, as well as the Centennial Wheel, which we'll be adding to the list next. But This pier is 3,300 feet long and extends way out into Lake Michigan. A great place to get a boat to go out onto the water. They do have many dining options out here, including upscale restaurants and just casual fast food. Some shopping, but not too much. Mostly just souvenir shops and boutiques. They do have a lot of special festivals throughout the year that they host here, including the Chicago Air and Water Show. Here is a look at that Shakespeare Theater. Just look for the green sign. Now we're going to talk about the Centennial Wheel, a 200-foot Ferris wheel. You can see these views that you get overlooking the skyline. This is actually right on the lakefront. It is $15 for adults, and kids are also $12, but if they're under 3, it's free. Just something fun to do while you're out here on Navy Pier, and it's not going to break the bank. You can also see that swing ride there. Kids love that. The full rotation of this wheel is around 15 minutes. You can see here the seats are actually quite comfortable compared to most Ferris wheels. And the good news is the gondolas are actually climate controlled with air conditioning. Here we are at one of Chicago's beaches right here on Lake Michigan. For those of you who do not know, Chicago does have deep blue water, that color blue, that is only second to the Caribbean blue. So they do get that Gatorade colored water right here in Lake Michigan. Yeah, the waterfront walkway, as it's known here in Chicago, runs along the eastern edge of Lake Michigan, stretching 18 miles from Admore Street on down to 71st Street. And some of the highlights along that trail are going to be Navy Pier, which we just showed you, Grant Park, the Millenium Park, Museum Campus, where the Adler Planetarium and the Shed Aquarium are, as well as Buckingham Fountain. It's really just a great place to get in a nice cardio workout, either walking, riding a bike, which you can rent those bikes around Chicago. Also just running, going for a jog right here on the Lakefront Trail. Now we're actually headed to the Magnificent Mile, where you have high-end upscale shops along the North Bridge, the Water Tower Place, which is a multi-level shopping mall. They also have the 360 Chicago Observation Deck, which is formerly the John Hancock Tower, on the 94th floor, the Tribune Tower, the Wrigley Building, and then of course the Chicago Riverwalk. The Magnificent Mile is really an area you must go to while in Chicago, so try not to miss it. There's also the museums along this stretch of road, but just cruising down the road, you'll really get a feeling for what Chicago is. This is the heart of Chicago, in my opinion. Now, right next to the Magnificent Mile is going to be the Chicago Riverwalk, which is a pedestrian walkway that runs along the south bank of the Chicago River right here in downtown. It stretches about 1.25 miles along Lakeshore Drive to Lake Street. Around here you'll find the Marina Plaza, the River Theater, the Jetty, also the Boardwalk, the Riverwalk Gateway. So many different cafes and bars and restaurants with views overlooking the Riverwalk. Really a famous place right here. As we continue to show you around the Chicago Riverwalk, I want to let you know we did post some links to other Chicago videos that we did while we were here, including a full Riverwalk tour if you wanted to watch that in its entirety. It's a virtual tour. We're also going to put a link to the Milwaukee video that we did when we were here and the Chicago travel guide. So check the links below. I also just completed a 9-part travel masterclass for people who want to travel abroad, and I'm giving it away to people who are signing up as our channel members when you hit the join button and you sign up to support this channel as an island hopper. Now let's talk about the Chicago food. Obviously, Chicago style deep dish pizza is probably the most famous. This pizza is baked and it's deep dish with a thick crust. But there's other forms of Chicago pizza that's really popular here all across the city. We ate at Giordano's, but you can go on Yelp or TripAdvisor to get other recommendations. Now let's talk about the Chicago dog. That's going to have relish. It's going to be a nice Polish style sausage, or a beef hot dog served on a poppy seed bun with mustard, onions, relish, tomato pickles, and a sprinkle of celery salt. Also doing a picnic like this right here on Lake Michigan. Here we are at Snickers. I've got a beer and some shawarma, some Greek. Other popular foods are going to include the Italian beef sandwich and then a Chicago style steak. You got to go to one of these steakhouses. After all, they're called the Chicago Bulls for a reason, right? Even though Chicago's not on the ocean, they do have plenty of seafood, as you can see here. I'm also eating some oysters straight out of the shell. These are called Oysters Rockefeller. And then as far as dessert, I actually stopped by the Nutella factory here and got some pastry. It was quite delicious, just packed with sugar. I don't know how many of those I can do, even though they were very good. Now we're talking about going to a show here at the Chicago Theater or any of the theaters across Chicago. This is something that dates back to the early heydays. Other theaters include the Steppenwolf Theater Company, the Goodman Theater, Broadway in Chicago. So try to take in a show while here. All right, here we are at the Lincoln Park Zoo. This is actually a free exhibit. I do recommend you guys go online to get the tickets. Considering the fact that it is free, this is an impressive zoo with over 1,000 animals on 35 acres. Some of the famous animals here are going to be the African apes, the sea lion pool, and the children's zoo, as well as the small mammal reptile house. I personally like the camel and these laid-back kangaroos. Although with this zoo being free, I did notice at times they do close the exhibits a bit early, and they don't really feel like they owe you anything because hey, it's free. If the zoo doesn't quite give you your animal fix, you can always head over to the aquarium. All right, guys, when you come to Chicago, you can come right here to the Shed Aquarium. Shed Aquarium is very impressive, located right here on the shores of Lake Michigan with over 32,000 animals from across the world, including sharks, dolphins, sea turtles, and penguins. They also have a Caribbean reef exhibit and an Amazon rising exhibit. So really a good aquarium to check out for the kids, including a 4D experience. And yes, we're almost there. I'll talk about the City Pass, but first let's talk about the Adler Planetarium, which is right down the way from the aquariums. And here we are, way out on this peninsula right here at the Adler Planetarium. You can spend half a day when it's open. Tickets to each one of these individually, including the aquarium and the planetarium, are $40 for adults, $30 for children, but this is where the City Pass is going to come in handy. Here at the planetarium, they have sky shows, exhibits, telescopes. It's mostly for people who want to explore space science and astronomy. All right, now we'll talk about the Chicago City Pass. It is $134 for adults, $104 for children, and you get 5 attractions. These include Shed Aquarium, Skydeck Chicago, plus you get admission to 3 more attractions of your choice, which are going to include Field Museum, Art Institute of Chicago, Museum of Science and Industry, 360 Chicago Observation Deck, Adler Planetarium, or Shoreline Sightseeing, so you can see it's a great value. All right, Island Hoppers, that's Chicago in a nutshell. Do share this video with people you intend to go with you to Chicago because they'll also find this video useful. If you guys enjoyed this one, hit like and subscribe to the channel. Also, watch some more of our other videos in the link description and consider becoming a channel member. You can click the end screens here to watch Detroit or Milwaukee if you intend to visit the Great Lakes further.